Influence ideas. Influence ideas consist of the tribute system, established cadet branches, integrated elites, state propaganda, diplomatic influence, the postal service, marcher lords, and the bonus of unjustified demands. So the tribute system, plus 25% income from vassal subjects only. So when you're running an economical vassal rather than a march style vassal is how you best use this. So you want it to potentially stack with other vassal income bonuses that extract as much money from them as possible. So some of the government types, some of the national ideas for certain nations help extract extra income from vassals, so those stack well. It's obviously therefore best used on vassals that have a high base tax rate, because it only extracts their tax income, it doesn't extract their trade income, for example. So if you wouldn't want to be using this on Venice as much as someone with a, so you wouldn't want to be using this on someone with a high diplomatic base land, but rather someone with high administrative base land where they produce high base tax, and you can mooch that tax. Yeah, so probably not want to be using it so much on a trade-focused vassal, although you'll probably be directing that vassal's trade to you anyway if it's an economical vassal. Keep in mind that if you get too good at extracting money from your vassals, but you're still using them militarily, you can run them into the ground economically, and then they start taking out loans, and this can be actually a useful thing if you want to pay down the loans to keep them loyal, feed them tons of land so they grow, but they're still loyal because of the loans you paid off. But the other side of that coin is that it can lead them to bankruptcy spirals if you aren't paying attention. And that's just a pain in the ass, because then they get extra rebels and you have to deal with their rebels, and ugh. Second idea, establish cadet branches. Plus 0.5, although the ticks are actually divided up monthly, prestige, and 25% extra air chance. So how do you best use this? You best use this to maintain high prestige for all the benefits that high prestige provides, passively, it just does it. This includes combat morale, improved relations rate, aggressive expansion burn-off, minimization, and others besides. The high prestige also makes upgrading government ranks easier, as the go from duchy to kingdom and kingdom to empire things have prestige requirements, and nothing is more annoying than piecing out of a war, getting up to the 1000 development or the 300 base development to change government rank, and realizing, shit, I shouldn't have taken that last event's negative prestige hit because I needed the prestige to upgrade my government rank. Also, this is the air chance is used for potentially air cycling, so you get an air with crappy monarch points or crappy monarch point distribution that you don't like, throw that baby into the sea, and because you've got extra air chance, you're more likely to get another air more quickly, which gives you another chance to throw them into the sea until you find one with amazing stats, or the stats that you specifically are looking for. It also helps you prevent you from accidentally falling under a personal union to dying without an heir. However, there is a slight downside in that if you're purposely trying to import someone else's dynasty, the fact that you keep getting new heirs can actually be, or a bonus to getting new heirs can actually be a bit of a detriment. Third idea, integrated elites, minus 25% Diplo Annex cost. So the cost to diplomatically annex subjects is reduced. How do you use this? Well, you use this to integrate subjects, unsurprisingly, more cheaply, which obviously plays towards a subject-focused playstyle. So either diplomatically vassalizing smaller neighbours, doing so by force, or just by invitation, or doing the same for the PU game. In both cases, this bonus provides larger absolute savings when you're integrating larger subjects. So it rewards you for feeding your subjects more and more land, which you then integrate at a reduced cost for a larger absolute diplomatic saving. The fourth idea, state propaganda, minus 20% aggressive expansion impact. How do you best use this? You use this for blobbing without pissing off your neighbours so much that they form a grand coalition to curb your expansionistic tendencies. It stacks especially well with other modifiers that reduce aggressive expansion, such as being the Curia controller. Between this and the Curia controller, especially if you can get a excommunication style war off early, you can just take so much more land early game than you otherwise would be able to. and high prestige. High prestige helps. The fifth idea, diplomatic influence, +2 Diplo rep. You use this to machine gun integrate subjects because they integrate faster when you have high diplomatic reputation. It also means that you can do one after another. Normally, if you integrate a vassal, at the end of that process, you get a modifier that temporarily gives you -3 diplomatic reputation and makes it impossible to integrate more vassals because your diplomatic reputation is so low that it slows down to 0. However, this idea ensures that even during that time of supposedly being slower, you can still get things done. Nevertheless, it's best to line them all up so that you sort of aren't wasting effective diplomat time doing something while they're slower. You might want to, during the time that they're slower, instead be using your diplomats on things like improving relations or getting more claims. It also increases your chance to integrate junior PU members for free and increases the size of nations that you can integrate for free so that you can integrate larger PUs. Finally, it's worth mentioning that it's helpful if you're playing a game as the Emperor of the HRE and you're trying to get stuff done in the Empire, because everyone is more likely to agree to pass the reforms and so on because they are convinced by your high diplomatic reputation to let you do the things you want to do. Second to last idea, postal service. +1 diplomatic relation. So an extra Diplo relation slot, and -20% envoy travel time, which basically means when you send your diplomat away to do something, and he starts coming back, so you send a peace deal or you go ask for military access somewhere, they get back home quicker and you can start using them again. Note that this is strictly better than so many of the other idea group ideas that only give you a relationship slot. This gives you the relationship slot and something else as well. How do you best use it? Well, you best use it for maintaining a large alliance web or having room for an extra subject, or use the relationship slot for a royal marriage for going PU fishing. How do you use the travel time? The travel time bonus isn't so useful if you're only diplomatically interacting with nearby neighbours, but the reduced travel time is very noticeable for more distant interactions. So if you're playing a European colonial power, France, Spain, whatnot, and you are declaring war on a Native American or asking some Native Americans for military access or asking some other colonial powers colonies for military access so that you can keep exploring, you can end up with 3 or 4 month wait times when your diplomat's coming back home from doing that, which can make chaining wars or chaining military access requests take a very long time. And in these cases, the extra diplomat speed for coming home is very useful and noticeable. The final idea, +100% vassal force limit contribution. So vassals' force limits add more to your own than usual. This helps you to run a larger army so that you look bigger and a less appealing target for potential enemies, as well as looking like a more attractive potential ally for other allies because, oh, look at him, he's big and strong, he's got a big army, I want to be his friend. And for others when deciding to form a coalition against you because they care about army size, if you're sufficiently big, people will just not coalition you because they don't think they can beat you. And the finisher, unjustified demands cost 50% less. This reduces the Diplo cost of asking for the wrong kind of things with a CB. So if you declare a CB for taking land and you ask someone to do something like give you a vassal instead, or release a vassal, then it costs you diplomatic power, and this modifies that cost down. Now you can stack this with other reductions to unjustified demand cost to push the cost all the way down to 0. And then you can ask for land regardless, like you can take land without claims at 0 diplomatic cost. However, the extra aggressive expansion you incur for doing so is horrendous. So mostly it's just a nice little passive occasional saving if you want to knock out an extra province or two to potentially use as a future vassal. It does, however, bear merit to mention that it works especially well with the first age ability bonus to transfer subjects at half cost, as long as you're quick enough with finishing this idea group to use it before the first age ends. So in summary, influence ideas are geared towards subject-oriented gameplay. providing extra diplomatic relation slots, extra diplomatic reputation, and annex cost reductions for faster and cheaper subject integration. It increases the military value that you get from your subjects through increased force limit contributions and the economic value you can extract from vassal subjects in particular. It provides a series of nice bonuses to diplomatic actions, reducing unjustified demand cost and reducing travel time for diplomats. Finally, and arguably most significantly, it provides a significant aggressive expansion reduction, allowing additional expansion without running into coalition problems, especially useful in expansionistic gameplay.